What is up, guys? It's your boy Sean Flack 2.0 coming up live and direct here from the studio. This evening, it looks like it's going to be me and Nord got in the studio this evening. We'll kind of fill you guys in where everybody else is. What's up, Nord? How's everything?
Oh, everything's good. I mean, we're getting used to our new Friday night lives. So kind of rearranging things for that, but other than that, we're doing good.
Rocking and rolling. Okay. All right. Today we're going to be talking about content creation. We worked together for quite some time now at this point, at least 3 years, 4 years potentially. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before we do, obviously, want to, do some shout outs here. Kind of get back into the stream of things. Dad life's been kind of cracking, with summer coming up or end of the school year. It's getting real busy at work, so a lot of people are kind of scattered out wherever we are. Before we get started though with today's show, just want to send a shout out to shadowpackwest.com and all the patrons that are out there that are supporting us over there. I just actually put up a new blog over there talking about Suikoden, the remake, the remaster. I played part 1, beat it finally. Go ahead and check out that blog. I'm working on part 2. Once I get through that, I'll shoot another blog over there. So shadowpackwest.com. Also, if you guys want to be a patron, thank you to all the patrons. You can head over there on the splash page. It'll send you to our Patreon page where you can start your patronage as little as $1 a month and to support our content to keep us going and get access to other content. We have over 30 episodes of After Dark and behind the scenes content over on our Patreon page. Go ahead and check that out. We'll be a little bit more racy, a little more dicey as far as our subjects and topics over there. And that's it for right now. What do you got for us, New York?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I think you kind of messed up your intro. I mean, all these seasons I've heard as little as $1 a day. I mean, a month. and you got it right this time. So it was a little weird for me.
Right.
I'm
learning.
Right. I gotta do it for Mr. Sensei. Shout out Lord and Jesus. Right. We gotta do that. We've got to do what was the disabled gamers one that Crinley's been doing quite often, as well as yes,
Okay,
the one I'm talking about.
Yes, that's the one that he teamed up with like Voodoo Ranger and
Yes.
them, and they donated to. I couldn't tell you.
Creating controllers for those who are disabled, so that they can continue to game.
Right.
Kind of fits in with our content creation. I also want to shout out, Chiron and their photography. Again, going along the lines of content creation, individuals that we know that we work with that are, if you're in the Arizona area.
Yes, he's.
I believe it's Arizona.
One is he's outside of Phoenix. So.
Okay, so if you're in that area and you're looking for some kind of photography, whether it be a quinceañera, a wedding, or baby bump pictures, all that jazz, hit them up or let us know. We can get you in touch with them.
Yep. Shout out to Chiron. Let's go ahead and give him the horns. Obviously, also shout out to the folks that aren't here tonight. Crinley, he's actually out on vacation.
Catching fish.
Yeah, catch. I mean, he posted up with us a big old catch that they got last night, so that's actually pretty cool. And then Sensei is actually unavailable. It's his birthday weekend, something like that, or whatever. Anyway, he wasn't available for this evening. Bunch of things going on with him. So so like it's a shout out to Sensei John. Before we get into our main topic, Crinley's not here, so I guess we got to do it. What's in your cup, Njord? What is in your cup?
I mean, again, same as always. I'm drinking that Jameson Black Barrel with some Pepsi.
Okay, but what is your cup is actually probably the more interesting topic at this point. What is that?
So it says home of the brave because of the free, or home of the free because of the brave.
Are you drunk already? Is that what's going on here?
No, it's just really dark and like my light is over here.
Okay, yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I got it at I think I got this at the Orange County Fair, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
No. This was in Tennessee. It was the county fair out there. It was like a refillable cup
Oh,
that you know you
purchased the
pay
cup.
like $20 for this cup, and then you got like dollar refills.
Right.
Yeah.
Nothing
So
wrong. Nothing wrong with dollar refills. And
right.
I'm just drinking. I actually got to go to work later tonight, so um, I'm drinking a Diet Pepsi or a Diet Coke. I'm sorry. Let me not insult the Coke drinkers out there. Yeah.
Or the Pepsi drinkers.
or
Come on.
yes, or the Pepsi drinkers in the group. But yeah, I'm just sipping on a little Diet Coke just to kind of get it through. Okay. So talking about content creation. Um, how long have you done it, Njord, at
Since
this point?
I'm just over 5 years now.
Okay. Okay.
Because I got started in March of 2020.
Oh, that wasn't too earlier than we got together in Shadowpack Gaming.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. We met in Mixer.
Yes, we did. Yep. And we weren't initially with Shadowpack Gaming. What did we? I want to say, was it Enigma? Is that what it was?
Oh man, yeah, it was Enigma.
Yeah. So the little stream team called Enigma is actually where we met, and I even forget. I mean, there's a whole lot of drama with that. But yeah, that's where we met. And then,
All of the transition stuff is kind of funny. Enigma turned into what Sinister Wolves,
oh yes, I totally
right?
forgot about that one. Yeah. Sinister Wolves.
And then obviously they're like when you start getting into this world, the potential of drama just goes up
Absolutely, exponentially.
extremely.
Right.
And so then Sinister Wolves then became Shadowpack Gaming.
Right. Shadowpack Gaming, and that one I think held on the longest out of all of them.
That held on about 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that one only ended because dad life.
Yeah. you ended up having a kid.
Yeah. You even sat here and told me, man, like, you're about to have this kid. Are you sure this is something you still want to do? Like, yeah, I got this. We're gonna be totally good.
Yeah. And then dad life
I wasn't ready.
right. As far as content creating for me, I want to say it was like 2013, so it's pushing 12 years, but not in that form. I started content creating as and you guys have heard the story before, but we're going to reiterate kind of like our little bit of backgrounds and kind of like where we are now, and potentially where we're going to be going in the future.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Right. And yeah, so it was, I want to say it's 2013. I was going through a really stressful time at work, and I always wanted to make movies. Like that was my big thing. I was a theater kid. Wanted to go to art school for it. Ended up having a kid. Like dad life kind of derailed that and kind of pushed my path somewhere else. So I always put it back on hiatus. And this content creating is something that I always wanted to do. But again, dad life, right? And everything kind of calmed down. And as a matter of fact, in 2020 when COVID started, really big and stuff like that, and everybody was kind of locked in, I kind of fell into that same thing. Couldn't go anywhere, right? But the place you can go is you could be online. And then I did hook up with Enigma originally, and I don't even know how all that started, how I actually went into Enigma. And then it got transitioned out to Sinister Wolves, and then it became Shadowpack Gaming. But I really got into the production side of things on that, and the content creation basically skyrocketed from what I was doing with just a couple YouTube videos here and there versus wanting to do blogs, wanting to do live streams, wanting to do recording and all that stuff. And I want to say that's kind of like where networking with everybody, either the ups and the downs and, the ins and the outs, being part of those groups, I feel I learned a lot and kind of brought me to where I am today. And where I really found my passion. Like I really liked being in front of the camera, but I even like when I was on stage or whatever, I liked that part. But in my senior year, I wrote my own play and directed my own play as a final for being a senior, and I actually like that more. So I find that producing content and helping other people produce content is actually more of a fulfillment for me. So. So yeah, I mean, here we are. um,
Yep.
so where do
Ah,
we?
actually,
Go ahead.
I didn't even think about that. Like I'm sitting here thinking like creating content at like in my adult life. I completely forgot about theater in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I didn't create. Well, actually, I did because I also was stage production. So I
Stage
was actually
crafting.
the lead. I was the lead set designer and in charge of like everyone building everything. But then I also performed on stage.
Right.
So it was kind of this cool. I got to see both sides.
Right. And it's funny, in our high school, we actually had a stage crafting class that you could go into stagecraft and you learn how to build the trap doors and scenes and
Yep.
paint and lighting and all that sound. And then, or you were in drama, right? Where you were the ones that
Right.
were acting or whatever. And then again, as seniors, if you were in drama, like you had to be in the plays, right? That because we had a musical and a regular play, or you had to be part of it somehow. And then we had one acts as a senior. You had to
Hmm.
pick a one act and either direct it or write your own one act, which is what I ended up doing with a
I
friend of mine.
directed. I directed some freshmen for a one act.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, and you did the whole thing, right? Like you had to do auditions, like you had to have the one act,
Yeah.
you had to submit it out so that our director or um, the teaching. What was cool about
The theater
ours?
teacher. The theater teacher.
Yeah, but what was cool about ours is like usually theater teachers were like English teachers that also taught theater,
So
and
mine was a history teacher.
yeah, so mine actually was an actor. And
Oh, that's
so
cool.
that's well, and he didn't do big roles, but he was in the industry. He's an extra in a bunch of different things. But he had
Right.
like, he taught actors, he taught method acting, he taught all this stuff. Was in the industry for however many years, and then he taught drama in high school. He wasn't another teacher just teaching this. He actually, and he was ruthless. I mean, he was ruthless, and I want to say him being as ruthless as he was is what kind of like prepared me for being an adult. Almost like he was like, you better be on time. He was like, the world's not gonna wait for you. He's like, you want to get into acting or anything like that? Like there's hundreds of people that are waiting and they're coordinating, and so who the hell are you to show up late? So same thing with class, like all this,
Yep.
he was killer, and I thought that was cool. Like one of the things I live toward today is proper planning prevents poor performance.
Hmm.
And he was just, yeah, really. His name was Mr. Vinci, and to this day, like I said, a lot of the stuff that he had taught me back in high school. This is over 20 years ago at this point. Yeah, I still think about that today, and so yeah, again, the class was good. We had to do all the auditions. We had to, and then my issue was, you know, during quote unquote my time or whatever, there weren't that many guys that acted or did theater, right? So I actually had to take a role in it because we didn't have enough guys auditioning for the parts. So it was actually pretty cool. I acted in it, directed it, and that's where my love for the background of things and the coordination of things came from. I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Um, so yeah, where do you, obviously we're here now. Talked a little bit about the past. We've been running the show. We talked about 40 episodes. This is episode 39. You know,
So our next one is our 2 hour.
yes, our next one is the long one. Um, you know, gonna talk about a lot of stuff with that. Ups and downs and what we learned working together and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we're close to what our commitment was, and if you guys have not seen me or worked with me prior or any of the other projects I've talked about, is you got to do a buy-in for if you want to work with me. You got to say, hey, we're going to do this many, and you're going to commit to it, right? um, it's just part of what we do as far as like content creators, and we're doing this, not only for the love of enjoyment, fulfillment, but being able to work with other people. But you still got to be a professional. Um, and so I always say when we were doing blogs, I was like, well, you got to 4 blogs is what you got to write, and then if there's 6 of us, that's 20 blogs, right? or okay, we're gonna do 8 episodes of Shadow Pack Squares, and then we'll re-up some more, or 6 episodes or whatever it was. So somebody got super ambitious. I ain't gonna say no name, Sensei. But there were 39 episodes that I did of the Dazzle podcast prior to it going into its newest iteration of where it is now. And he was like, okay, let's break that record. So here we are. 39 ties us up, and 40 breaks the record. And I know you jumped in not too late after we started to go down this path or whatever. Kind of a little preview of what we may be talking about next episode. I mean, where do you feel we are now?
I kind of feel we're at this point where I don't think we're ever going to run out of topics to talk about, but I do see us recycling some.
Yes.
Because they are very, very prevalent, right, to what our theme is, and I think recycling some of these topics might be good because we might be able to. I mean, what we've been going for
over a year.
How long? Over a year now. I mean, that's another year's experience with our kids. That
really great point. I love that you pointed that out. Yes.
So I could sit here I came in episode 3, right?
Yep.
Something that I talked about in episode 4 or 5 might be different now.
Same
in
topic.
Episode 40.
Right. Same topic, but different experience. Right. More experience. Right.
Right. So I caution anyone who kind of comes in or it looks and like, oh, they're doing this topic again. Things change. I mean, especially for those of us like Crinley and myself, right? Where I mean, you and Sensei are doing things a little bit differently now, like with your spouses and raising these kids, but you still have your older kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's still our first time going through all of this. Like, oh my Lord. Some things that they don't teach you, like they don't prep you for as being a parent.
Right.
Oh.
Oh,
and it's always the gross stuff, right? That they don't like.
The blowouts or,
No. During potty training.
Oh yeah. What is that on the floor?
Okay, so she woke up. This was like last weekend, right? She woke up, and what we're doing is we're having her put her panties on and then a pull up, okay. Right? So our big issue is nighttime. Like we still haven't gotten nighttime down. We've got daytime pretty darn good, right? Well, I had her. We're also trying to teach her that as soon as she wakes up, she does not need to come and get us. Okay, she's able to go into her playroom. There's a drawstring where she can turn the light on and she can play quietly in her playroom. Right? Obviously, I was already up when she woke up, but it was one of those things where I was like, okay, now you go play. Like you don't need to come over here.
Right.
You go play until I come and get you. Right. And then all of a sudden she comes. She goes, "Daddy, I pooped." I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, we'll just carry you over to the bathroom, right?
Get you cleaned up.
Kind of like straddle the toilet. Like I'm sitting here thinking, like roll down the panties, right? Have it just plop into the toilet. We're good to go, right? And no, it wasn't solid.
Oh no.
So then it's sitting here like, okay, my dad brain, right? What's the first thing I'm gonna do? All right, get in the shower. Okay, I'm like,
yeah,
there we go.
If it gets nasty,
shower.
we could like, you wash it all off, spray it all off.
Yep, that was exactly my point. That's exactly what I was doing. I put her in the shower. I went, got my bathing suit on. Right, I came in because again, modesty, decency around your kids. Like I don't know what point parents kind of take that, like at what age parents do that. But as soon as they can start understanding things, we were like, okay,
right,
no. So I'm in there. My wife is still kind of laying down, and apparently the poop was still thick enough to where it didn't want to go down the drain, but runny enough to where it wouldn't just plop out.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it was backing everything up in the bathtub.
Oh no. You know what? That's why you have to get gloves. Sometimes you just gotta grab it and just you grab what you can and put it in the toilet.
Boy, have you ever stirred a drink with your finger?
I mean, yes, I have, but
Okay, that's what I did with the drain.
that's nasty.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do in my like situation. I got this kid with poop all over her. The
Right.
bathtub is like, I swear I spent like the next 2 hours with Clorox bleach on my hand with a scrubber.
Right.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even joking about that. Clorox bleach
Right.
and a scrubber.
Just dip your
But, like-
hand in it. You just like let it sit for a little, marinate a little bit. Yeah, just let it sit for a little bit or something. You know.
Again, it's just some of the things that they don't teach you,
Absolutely.
right?
And then
So-
there is no manual. You can't think that. You can't even prepare for that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Never would have. Nope. Mm-mm.
And
Oh.
contrasting that, like the wife, she kind of locked it down and everything like that. When it came to potty training, I want to say the kids probably wet the bed like once or twice, and so far, knock on this little particle board I got right here. So far so good. They haven't had accidents or anything like that. They're really good about using the restroom. Even younger, we were really fortunate enough to not have any kind of blowouts or anything like that. There was this one time we were in Florida, and we're in Florida. I'm dressed, I got the white shirt and the khakis and the shoes, and I feel like I'm dressed for Florida, right? And so I go and baby boy, he doesn't have a blowout, but the issue is that we only have one wipe left in the diaper bag, right? So of course he done pooped, and it ain't solid poop. It's not a blowout, but it's like shit.
It's still sticky. It's still
Oh, yeah.
sticky.
And man, and they didn't have a changing table in the men's bathroom, so I had to change them on like the sink, right? Find out I only have
Right.
one wipe, so it's a mess. I'm over there, got the toilet paper, got them all cleaned up, but like I'm stressed because I have a white shirt on, so I'm like, luckily, and I don't think I did get it on my shirt, but I come out, I'm like looking flustered. My wife's like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I'm like, "There was only one wipe and it was a mess," and she's just dying laughing. She's just like, yeah, and it wasn't a blowout. It's just the fact that we only had one wipe left, and I did not have enough to get them cleaned up properly, and I'm wearing a white shirt, and we're on vacation, so,
Right.
All right, so,
Yep.
the lesson to that would be make sure when you leave the house, a full pack of wipes in the diaper bag. Yeah, that's
And gloves by the bathroom.
Yes, and gloves. Gloves is gonna be the big. We still have to help help our kids wipe themselves and make sure they're fully clean. And the wife wears a glove every time.
See, I have gloves. They're just out in the garage.
Yeah. Well, like disposable.
Yeah. These are like disposable mechanics gloves.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So hey, put them in there. You never know when you're
Yeah.
gonna need them.
Yep. Yep.
And
that's
shop
gonna happen.
towels if you got to, go get a roll of shop towels just in case.
So I bring all that up, right? Is because like these. I remember we did an episode of memories that we have with our kids.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? I just created a whole new year of memories with my kid that can go into that episode,
Absolutely.
right? I think what's been really really awesome to me, and I know I have said it previously, or it was either on or off the air, but watching the growth of Sensei has been really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, watching him start from being on a cell phone, kind of, or that like
Right.
uh,
like on his wife's-
Walmart laptop,
Right.
you know.
Right.
to and the lack of confidence that he had in the beginning to where he is now, branching out, kind of producing his own side show now and walking someone else through the
Right.
same stages that
Right.
he was previously in.
Right. Right.
It's awesome to see.
And that's where I totally agree. That's where I get like the fulfillment piece of like seeing
Mhm.
success. You
Right.
know, yes, totally agree with you on that one.
I think some things that would be kind of cool for the next 40, right? Like I would love to see us to try to find sponsoring or better advertising so we can start trying to bringing in more people, because I mean we've got a good foundation here for people, for men, even some women, right?
Especially
To
with
go
the
back
last
and listen
episode.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go back and listen on, right? That we can build a following. I mean, we just need to be able to reach more. Um, and I don't think any of the advice that we have is bad advice. Um,
I mean,
I don't think any of the topics that we have is bad topics.
right.
I don't think there's such thing. I think we do a very good job of sitting here saying, "Hey, these are our views." Right?
Absolutely.
This is what we think. I remember, just to bring it back up, right? Because I brought up the school shooting topic, school shooting episode, right?
Yeah.
And I made sure that we all sat here like, hey, these are just our thoughts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. With what should
So-
happen or what we feel. Yeah.
Right. So are we experts? No, but we're four dads.
Right.
You know, and we're just like anybody else. And I think when it came to all the baby books, right, that we got, the one that I resonated with the most was the one that wasn't some kind of professional child development person. It was just a regular Joe dad who was sitting here like, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was stressed beyond all belief, and this is what I had.
Right.
You know.
And those are the ones that are more relatable. You know, like I said,
Right.
and I feel like that's where we are as far as like our expertise, right?
Right.
And really, it's what it is just life experience at this point. And the quote unquote failures or the lessons that we learned, we share on the show to hopefully help somebody else not make those same mistakes, or again, or have to learn the same lesson that we learned, right? So, you know, that's always, and I always try to say, I was just talking to my oldest son. We had lunch yesterday. Yeah, yesterday at the time of this recording. And I told him, I said, you know, my advice is not bad advice. It's not good advice. It's just life experience.
Bad advice. Bad advice.
But it's life experience. And the things that I'm trying to teach you or talk to you about are so you don't have to learn or run into those same pitfalls that I did, so that, hopefully by the time you get to where you want to be, you could get there sooner than I did, because you won't make some of the mistakes and have to recover from them.
Right.
you know.
Right.
Because
that's the way it works.
well, as a young man, I didn't think it did. But as I got older, and as I am getting
right, that's
older,
kind of that's my point.
yeah, is that I actually am more like my dad than I thought. And I thought, and I've learned more from my dad. Looking back at the things he would tell me, I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
But you still made those mistakes.
Absolutely,
because you didn't listen. That's kind of, yeah.
Right. You know what? It's a thing too with the kids nowadays. I feel like they're smarter, but they just don't have the common sense, right? Because it'll be like some stuff that I'm just like, I get where you're at, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, if you don't learn from your elders or whatever, you really are just going to create some of the same pitfalls that you could have avoided had you learned. Especially if a young person wants to learn, like, okay. Because you could learning is a two-way street. You also can learn what not to do. But if you're not open-minded to the message, then you're going to miss some of those lessons. And potentially you might have to pay for it. So, anyway, I digress. That's talking to my older one. I'm not gonna say it's like talking like to a mini me because I feel I had to be more responsible sooner. But I mean, as parent, that's what I just say. Like some of the stuff that I have to talk to him about, it's not because I want to talk your ear off or whatever. It's because I see a path and I just want you to be better than me. I want you to be set. I want you to be independent. And I see the forest and you see the trees. It's a different viewpoint. And you got to learn. You got to if you feel that. But I'm not going to stop throwing the message out. If you decide one day that you're going to take it, good. If not, you need to know where the messaging is coming from. It's not coming from a place of badgering. It's coming from a place of love and, hey, I want you to succeed. And I'll support you in any path that you take, as long as you don't go to jail.
Right.
I'm not going to support those. But
well, I mean, I'll support you if you go to jail, but you still have your consequences that you have to serve.
oh, absolutely. Well,
You know,
what,
meaning I'm still gonna love you. I'm still gonna love you, but you're gonna pay for your crime.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna save you from it.
Hey, either be good or be good at it. That's all I'm saying. But you're right. There is accountability. There is consequences, and if you come across that bridge, you gotta pay them. Like I said, gotta do the crime, do the time.
100%.
Funny thing, talking about kids. I was just having this conversation with myself the other day, and we're talking about content creating. And what is my point? Like, what is my end goal? Right. And like I said, in a previous episode, you told me you had to mute me on Facebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the things that I was posting, and it's political. Not going to go into the details of it, but
You can go watch that episode.
right, yeah. Go. Is that a free episode?
The After Dark was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go check out that episode. Because it's a good conversation to have. But why do I post? Why do I do these? Why do I still do these shows? Right? I have to think about that. Right? What is the end game for me? Because I don't see it for me as a means to leave my job. I don't see that in the future for me. This is, it would grow beyond me at that point. And I would need guidance how to proceed forward with that. So hope that is a good hope, but again, so what is it? It's we started this a long time ago, and we could re-talk about this episode as well. Is I want to leave something for my kids to look and see, and who I was, because I knew stories from my dad about my dad from other people, and he told me stories of himself as well. And I look back as I get older, I look back at all these stories that he would tell me, before he passed away, he wanted me to help him write a book of himself. So there's a bunch of stories he told me. And then, you know how Facebook is and all that. Oh, here's a book where you ask your parents this before they, fill this stuff out. And my end goal with all of this stuff is, you guys, as again, I leave messages in the Dad's Light podcast, 1.0 to my children, and be like, if you're listening to this today, know that this is XYZ who I was, and know that I loved you, that, Dad did his best. This is the stance I take. You want to hear stories about me from me after I'm gone. This to me is that logbook of these episodes, of my YouTube stuff, of my Facebook posts, like all these different things. Like, what are they going to see, or what is somebody going to see if they look me up that way, right? And so I post the things I post. I do feel a certain way. I do, about certain things. I'm going to point out what I feel is injustices. I'm going to stand on some type of principle, and it's going to be a reoccurring thing all the way through, right? I come from, immigrant family, coming from living in, the hood, living in cars, things like that. And my journey took a certain place. It went a certain way, all the way up to where I am now, and to what I'm able to do, and the ability I'm able to teach people and work with other people and communicate. But I look at the stuff that I post, and I always look and see, well, would I be ashamed of my kids if they went back and looked at things that I've said on air, things that I've posted, what can they tell about me and about how my digital life looked like, and would they be proud of that? And that's why I do what I do, and it's not for anybody else. If some people like me, cool. If some people, again, you muted me, right? And I'm not. We've had that discussion, right? Some people
I muted you, but I didn't kick you to the curb,
right?
Right? It was just like,
but
hey.
Well, some people have, some people have, and that's fine. There's nothing personal with that, because it's not about like having this viewpoint for other adults to take a look at. It's about the viewpoint of if somebody that really wanted to like look through my digital life, and well, what kind of person was he? What principles did he have? What message is he going to tell his kids? What message is this? What message is that? And it be a representation of me. And I feel I'm doing a pretty good job. Being able to work with people, wanting to, like I said, we talked about, loving the fact that Sensei goes from this to that and the success he sees, and we've had multiple discussions even prior to this about Shadowpack Gaming. There's multiple times we're just like, man, fuck this. And I'm like, no, Njord, I'm not going to do it if you're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you quit, I'm going to quit, because I wanted us, me and you specifically, to continue working together, to continue building what was next. And even when it went from, Shadowpack Gaming to Shadowpack West, I wanted your approval. I wanted your buy-in, and to let you know that, hey, if you still wanted to do what we're doing, that's still
have an in still.
Yes, absolutely. Even though I think I knew more what you were getting into than you did at the time. But
obviously, right?
Yeah.
Obviously you did.
So, but yeah,
because guess what? This wasn't around before I became a dad.
Right. So I'm proud of that. I'm kind of going into, yeah, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I know I'm not some other people's cup of tea either. And that's fine. But would I be proud to take a look at everything I put out there for my own self and as a representation of myself? And if my kids were to take a look at this, would I be proud of that? Or would I be ashamed of what I put up there? And I don't think I would, personally. Based upon my viewpoints, based upon my life experience, my dad life, I feel that I would not be ashamed of, and that I continue to, stand on my value, and to continue to, garner relationships and communication and understanding. And, and if they ask, they don't have to ask, for a story from, the wife or my sister or, some of my friends. They could go back and look and be like, well, what was dad like 20 years ago? What was dad like when this happened? What did he say when this happened? Or what are some of the lessons or the stories or whatever? And it could come from me. And I'm very proud of that. And I feel like that's where I am at with my content creation. Is not only is a fulfillment for me, but I'm not going to leave that much, as far as legacy. I don't have millions of dollars. I don't have, but I can leave life experience. I could leave lessons. I could leave, hopefully some type of positivity or something like that for my kids to look back on. And, I know I'm probably not going to see my great grandkids, but if YouTube's still around, I'll still be around. You know what I'm saying? For them, somebody else to look back on and be like, well, how was grandpa? What did he do? What did he stand for? And yeah, that's...
I hope if YouTube kind of goes away, they at least transition the videos somewhere else.
You got to archive it somewhere. That's why I feel like, and that's the thing about a content creator, right? Just like when we're on Mixer, when the platform dies, all your content goes with it. So that is the sucky part, but, it is what it is. Um, I mean, that's all I got on that. I think I kind of went on a tangent. Normally, that's your gig when it comes to like content creation and um, where I want to be and what I want my messaging to be. Did you have something to talk to kind of add on that as far as like your messaging or how you want this to end up or what you want it to take a look like or anything like that?
So, I mean, I've always been more the community side of things, right? Kind of looking back at the streamers, right? You're either a gameplay streamer, a community streamer, right? I think what it is for you is different for me, right? You went into this more as messaging for your future, for your kids and all that. And as much as like that's really cool to have baby Freya be able to kind of look back on, I do this because I want to help others. Right? That's where my passion is on this. I want to be able to sit here and have someone pop into our chat, bring up a question, and in all honesty, completely go off track of what we had planned for that night and gear towards our audience. You know what I mean? Preferably you guys let us know before the episode so we can plan on that. But I mean, if it's a big enough thing where it's like, okay, you know what? Hey guys, let's focus on this. I think this is a really good topic for us to talk about, right? That's where my passion is on this. And what's nice about that is that'll never end. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's always going to be things people are wanting information about, wanting someone else's opinion on, and that's where my passion is. So I don't see myself wanting to ever stop this. Personally, I'm. But you say you're gonna do this for the next 10 years, I'm with you.
I'm getting old, Jord. I'm getting old.
Hey, but we can figure out how to do things. You know what I mean? But because of what I see in this, it's not for me; it's for others. Right. It is where I'm at.
Well, I mean, 100% agree on that. You can see the passion, when again you had, don't let me.
Camden,
I was gonna say Caden. Yeah, but he came up with a good question. He wanted, his, and I would love to do more of that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, most definitely. And I saw it in the passion when you're, doing the hosting, leading the questions, kind of, okay, this is kind of like where we want to go to kind of keep everything flowing, to kind of keep that time worth. Him staying tuned in,
right,
and then being able to see that, and like you said, oh, okay, well, he went back and listened to this, that, and other thing, and he's learned, and kind of fulfilling that need, right? Or like I said, not learn, but again, was exposed to other opinions about certain topics, So, I mean, and that's the same thing too, right? Again, me like wanting to see success, wanting to see again. Not necessarily helping the community the way you want, but I want to see you succeed. I want to see Sensei succeed. I want to see us succeed, and get better.
I would like, honestly, like I said, our next 40, I would love to try to go for sponsors and better advertising.
Right.
Like that's what I would love to see with us. I mean, I want the problem where we need moderators in our chat. You know what I mean?
Right. Give me all the smoke. Right. Give me all the smoke. I remember we didn't have nobody watching our stuff live, but now, yeah, we need a moderator or whatever. Yeah. And that takes work, but I think
it does.
We have a really good foundation, and like I said, but just kind of getting to this apex of commitment. Like my big thing about it is committing to it, and because it's not easy, but to get there, to get to that. This is, okay, we got here, and this is what we learned. This is how we're going to proceed. This is what we want to change. This is how we want to adjust, etc., etc., etc. And, for me,
listen, you want to talk about commitment. You want to talk about commitment, okay? My wife has hated Saturday nights for the last year.
Oh, trust me.
because that was the only night. That was the only night that baby Freya would go stay at Nana's house, was Saturday nights. So that was our only date nights.
Right.
But guess what? I had to be home by 8:30.
Well,
right.
hopefully
So
you- right.
it's so. But I mean, talking about commitment, right? Like
yes.
that's where I've been here. Unless I had to work or I was on vacation or sick,
Right.
I've been here.
Right.
And I love that because that's been everybody else as well.
Right.
Um,
And that's why I
and-
keep wanting to do it, because if people are making those sacrifices to be here, let's respect that and kind of move
Yeah.
forward with it, So
and then like with us switching now to Fridays for however long you're on your schedule, guess what? We've got date nights now.
yeah.
So cool.
Okay. Well, I mean, we could have done it sooner, It's just that I guess that was just today, but okay. All right. Well, I mean, that kind of brings us to the end of our show, which I thought went pretty fast. I thought we were gonna run out of like anecdotal stuff to talk about, and it was just like, no, oh shit, it's been an hour already. Okay.
I mean, you and I, man, we could literally just keep going.
Right. That is true. That is true. So yeah, just. I'm excited to be, to kind of wrap up this little chapter that we have, and excited to see where we're going forward. I did want to bring it back to, why I originally got into content creating and kind of make my statement that I did, I just, yeah, I want to leave something where, I missed out on a lot of, listening stories about my dad. And so now I feel like, again, they'll have something. And they could hear it from me. They could hear it from you guys. You know what I'm saying? They could see, what exactly we did here with this project and stuff like that. And, touching base on what you said, for you guys, before we got on, I pulled up, went on to the good old Chat GPT and asked, like, what are some of the big trending topics for dads right now? And it was everything we talked about already. Like, it was like four
we've
major topics.
Now, here's my question. On those topics, were those... So I know we're running out of time, but those topics that came up, you being the producer with Sensei, did you guys come up with those organically, or did you guys look those up?
Organically. Those ones...
That's
Yeah.
even better.
Yeah, those, like, so that, I'm looking at them. Stay at homes. So this one was stay at homes, dads gaining visibility. We didn't
That
talk about
we
that
haven't
'cause
talked
none
about.
Of us, none of us are stay at home dads.
And we don't have that experience.
Exactly. But the emphasis on mental health and burnout, because I did the list twice, and that was on both of them. Because I was like, well, what are this? And then I said, I was like, well, we talked about all this. Is there anything trending?
Twice.
Yes. So
We've talked about mental health burnout twice.
right, and it's coming up again. As a like, this is a trending topic for dads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Community support for new dads, like that's kind of like what we did with last episode, where it's like we had this new dad coming out, and there's 4 dads that are willing to ask, answer any questions that may pop up. And that was one of the reasons why I started Dads Life podcast so many years ago, because there's a lot of women's support groups, but not a lot of men dad support groups out there. So again, that's trending, right? Personalizing personal time, or prioritizing personal time. We talked about that. You know what I'm saying?
We have.
But you're right. It comes back up as to it is going to be reoccurring themes. And what I love that you pointed out at the beginning of the show is now we have a year's worth of experience to add to the conversation, right? So the conversation is not a new conversation, but it'll have new content in that conversation.
Right, and I think what I pointed out earlier that I want to reiterate is that you and Sensei are not out of that boat of coming up with new things, right? Because again, your oldest were in a different situation with the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Now your next kids, you're in a completely different situation raising these next set of kids.
Yeah.
So you have new experiences that you're learning every day because you're working with someone else now.
Absolutely. And then the last one, which maybe we will hit on the next season, is the integration of technology in parenting.
No, we've done that.
Have we?
Yes, how to deal with technology and raising your kids. Okay.
I think
That,
as I remember it.
yep.
Well, you know
Yep.
what? It was this is the second.
We were
list.
talking about censoring the internet. We talked
Right.
about,
iPads and things like that, right?
yeah, we did have an episode on that.
There was. Let me see this other list. I think it had something. Okay, so on the first list that I did, AI integration in parenting is what came up, and
Interesting.
yeah. So just real with a quick, brief overview that it'll send me to an article. A significant number of Latina mothers are incorporating AI tools into their parenting routines. These technologies assist with household tasks, bilingual language development, and bridging cultural gaps, offering a modern approach to parenting support. So, yeah, I mean, I've just within the last couple months have started using ChatGPT more, as far as using AI stuff.
Nope.
Yeah. So I see the convenience of it. As far as like creating posts and try to make that automate. Using more automation so I can focus on other things or whatever. Especially as far as our social media posts has made it a whole lot easier. But yeah, that's interesting to see AI into parenting. I would like to read a little bit more about it. Maybe that'd be another topic. When we talk about technology and parenting as well, and seeing these different tools that are being used for this. So yeah. Okay.
How many? So
go ahead.
So I know we kind of have a false number of seasons because of you doing your own
right
prior to the rest of us coming on. So how many seasons now do we have of? Is it 4 with
4.
us?
Yes. So it would be
Okay.
season 4, 5, 6, and this is 7.
Okay.
Right. So then
Okay.
I did 3 seasons.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
I've got an idea of where to kind of put us out to. So.
Okay. Yeah, and the reason why it's off, each of our seasons are only 10 episodes. Each
Right.
of the seasons I did previous, I think, was like 13. So that's why the numbers don't match up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so the next one will be a tiebreaker. So excited about that one. We'll talk offline though, because there's a bunch of things that we need to kind of discuss prior to going into our final episode. So I mean, with that, I don't got anything else. Do you?
I really don't. I mean, we're gonna be going into our after dark. We still have to have one of those.
I actually can't do that one tonight. I gotta be at work literally in 4 hours. So
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm working a great
Well then,
shift tonight.
Shout out to the 2 of us. I mean, we just carried a show. I don't know the last time that it's only been 2 people. What was it? Episode 1 and 2?
I was gonna say, well, Sensei and Crinley did one together. I want to say.
Oh, okay.
When we were
okay.
both out. So yeah, I guess it's payback. Okay, so that's gonna be it for this week's episode. Again, kind of just catching up a little bit, kind of seeing where we're going, getting a little bit more nostalgic with what we've done, what we're gonna be doing. Real excited about the next episode. You got anything last minute as far as shout outs go?
So not necessarily a shout out. It's more of like, hey guys, if you listen to this, come by next Friday, okay, at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. We are having our 40th episode. It's going to be about 2 hours. We're going to have a lot to talk about. If you have something you want to talk about, please come by and hang out with us.
Okay. Again, shadowpackwest.com. Go ahead and check us out. I want to shout out to all the patrons that are out there that are helping us out, kind of keeping us going. If you could head over to shadowpackwest.com. You can start your patronage as little as $1 a month, not a day.
And happy birthday, Sensei.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday, Sensei. That's it. I just want to say thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Dad's Life Podcast, and hope you guys will tune in next week's episode of the Dad's Life Podcast, where you can get your dad life, dad advice. Peace out.